All right, Craig, do you have our list of top? No, stop. Damn it. He just ate the topics for the night.
Again?
Oh, shit. Does that mean that we need to start with Matt Mercer's top 10?
We're already done.
So you guys,
Woo, thank God.
Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. No, we're gonna do this. We're the Grumpy Dungeon Masters. I'm Jay, joined with my co-host Christopher, Christian, and Dan. Say hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello there.
All right, Christian, where can they find us on social medias?
You can find the Grumpy Dungeon Masters podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, or wherever else you get your podcast. You can also listen to it on YouTube, and you can keep an eye out for us streaming on Twitch TV Tuesday and Thursday evenings, currently making our way through Valheim.
Valheim?
Valheim?
It might actually supposed to be Valheim, and we might not know what we're talking about. I don't know.
Fair enough.
I am not Norse. But if you like what you hear, if you like what you see, please like, subscribe, and leave us a comment.
All right. So, Waples, you got 8 million topics. Go ahead.
So I've been cleaning my room. And it's something I need to do. I've been needing to do it for a while. I've been slacking off on it. It's really bad. It looks about as bad as, my father's house when I had to clean it out. It's a fucking hoarder mess. And it just needed to be done. So I start working on it. And the first thing that I do is I take all the books that I can easily access out of my room, put it on the kitchen table, and it's like the last year and a half's worth of books that I've bought or acquired. And I'm scanning them and organizing them into edition. So I have 5th edition, 5.5, 4th edition, 3rd, and then Faerun 3rd. Because I don't know where the 3 and 3.5 lie. I also got a thing for 2nd edition, and I'm not sure where if there's any I know AD&D and 2E kind of sit close to each other. I don't know. So I'm organizing books by titles and colors. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the stacks that I make is the Goodman Games OAR books. So their Original Adventures Reincarnated series, where they have these really cool binders and these cool numbering system on it. So Into the Borderlands is 1. Isle of Dread is 2. Expedition to the Barrier Peaks is 3. I don't have 4 and 5, but then Temple of Elemental Evil is 6. And then the fuckers do it. They change the goddamn spine. So instead of it being the title of the book and the number at the bottom of the book, now the number for some reason is at the fucking top of the book. Alright? So now I have all these books that look in order. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then now you have to go from 6. You have to look up now, almost break your neck to look at the top of the spine to see 7, 8, and 9. Why do they do that? Why can't book companies just be consistent with their damn spines? I swear to God, if we ever get into publishing stuff, that is going to be my biggest nitpick.
Be consistent on the look, especially the exterior look. Yeah.
I get adding logo at the bottom, on some editions, adding D&D to some. There's always licensing and stuff, but the stuff you can control is the name of the book and the numbering. Keep that consistent and lined up. It doesn't gonna be pixel perfect. It'd be great if it is, but it never is. But I don't know. I don't know if it's just me, but I know a lot of people hate when spines are all jacked up like that.
I don't think anybody in this chat is going to argue with you on this one. That would it would annoy the piss out of me too. There's no reason for it.
It annoys me too. I'm not going to lie. That's it.
I put a picture of
it. It's seemingly an easy thing to control, but it's
yeah. I don't know. I don't know why it's so inconsistent. I put a picture of my books in the podcast chat in our Discord if you want to take a look at it and see what I'm talking about. It just irritates me.
Maybe it's one of those things if they ordered the books and they had it, when they sent it off to the printers, they're like, put the numbers up here, and then they put it in the wrong fucking place.
The printer doesn't change that, Jay.
I don't
Well,
You send the file with the spine image to the publisher. I know that much.
and
Yeah,
you
so, like-
usually when you do prints, you get a test copy that's supposed to be your, hey, this is what it looks
that's
like
true. Yeah.
before you approve the like full print run.
So-
So I guess I don't know if they just changed at some point and decided we like this
Well, I
new
mean-
version better, but I saw the picture and it immediately irritated me too.
Yeah, because they added the D&D logo to the Temple of Elemental Evil. They still have the numbering at the bottom, and then
And-
at 7 at Dark Tower, they flip it so that it's at the top, and they omit the D&D logo completely, and now they just say Goodman Games at the bottom.
Why?
I don't know. Listen, guys. We need to have Joseph Goodman on here. We need to talk to him.
I mean, he said he would do the podcast. We just have to reach out to him.
All right, future guest. That'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
man,
he-
that would be a fun interview.
Yeah,
It would be.
he loves doing podcasts, anyways.
So I've been doing that, and Dan, I've been using the app that you turned me on to. What is it called?
I
got my
collect
phone.
everything.
I collect everything. That's been working pretty well. I've had a couple issues with it will scan the number and immediately pick up the ISBN number,
Mhm.
and sometimes it won't. And when it doesn't like find the record, if I come back like 2 or 3 scans later, it does recognize the ISBN number, which is weird. And the things that it has and the things that it doesn't have in its system is really weird. So for example, like I scanned all the 4th edition books, it found everything but like a couple of them. All right. And which is really weird. These are 4th edition books. They should be in the system. Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
recent stuff ought to be. Yeah.
yeah. So like, some 2nd edition stuff, I don't think I have any problems with that. I don't think I have any problem with 3rd edition stuff or the 5th edition stuff. Some of like the off-brand stuff it had some problems with. And one thing that really just jumped out at me is I remember I bought a copy of Avengers like Last Rites or something like that. And it's like someone made a story with the original D&D kids from the cartoon where they fight Venger and they defeat him, finally get to go home. It wasn't an official WotC product, okay, or anything like that at all. It was like some indie developer just kind of like, borrowing the story and publishing it out there. When you buy the print, it's obvious that the print came from like Office Depot. Like it's just a spiral bind thing on heavy paper. I'm like, cool, whatever. I spent $10 on it, bought it. I'm very happy with it. I punched in the name for that and hit enter to manually find it, and it fucking found it with all the authors' names and the publisher and the fact that it was spiral bound. I'm like, cool. How does it know that this independent developer thing that I found randomly on the internet is here, but it can't find 4th edition The Monsters of Nintir Vale? Like what's the disconnect here? I don't get
Well,
it.
obviously the app doesn't like 4th edition either. I mean, that's a clear answer.
Well, like there was another series of books I had called Mechaton. Like they were like Gundam style games and Transformer style game. I think it used a cyberpunk setting, and like it couldn't find 2 of those books, but then it found 2 of the other books in this series, which is just kind of weird how it like has some but doesn't have others. And like I said, I'm not sure.
A lot of this, I will say, I think the reason why you're finding some things and you're not finding others is that I think a lot of it is that there's not an entry that somebody else has already manually put in there before. It's not going to find it. So
Okay.
this is like a kind of it's not like a major corporation app, but it is like kind of a crowdsource app. So like there's enough nerds that put enough things in there that I actually don't have much of a problem finding most Funko Pops I scan in. I don't have a problem finding a bunch of 40-year-old D&D things that I put in there. But you're right. Like if it's some of the more modern stuff that should probably be in there, it doesn't find it all the time. And you would think that if it has an ISBN number, it's in the Library of Congress, it should be able to find it. But
Yeah, like that's the stuff that really
not
kind of
perfect.
just questions me, because like the Mechaton stuff doesn't have an ISBN number at all. I typed it in manually and it found it.
yeah,
But some other stuff like it's got a number. Why isn't it finding this? Like, it was just weird.
Like I said, it is not flawless. It's not perfect, but it's the best thing that I've found. If any listeners would like to offer their opinion on something better, that's great. I'm not sure I'd change at this point. I have over 900 things and put into it, and spent almost a year of my life, in my free time putting it together. So I don't know that I'd swap at this point. But my problem I've had with all the other apps that catalog these sorts of things is that I will begin cataloging it, get like a 6 months or a year into it, and the freaking company goes out of business. And this one's been in business for a decade now, so
That's cool.
Here's hoping that it will not.
Yeah, like I bought like the lifetime pass thing for it. Just because I started using it and I really liked it. I didn't want to be limited on entries, and then they have like a subscription pro thing to it. So I mean, it can cost money if you don't want to. I had hundreds of things to scan, so I didn't want to wait. So it's decent. It's working great. There's a couple like odd, like not categorization of things, but just how it like organizes things, and sorting things seems really difficult. Like I was trying to sort by price, and like it won't do it until I refresh the app 2 or 3 times, and then it starts organizing it all correctly. It's it definitely feels third party.
Yeah,
But honestly,
as far as those prices go, like I at some point in time noticed the same thing you noticed, where like it's giving you a wildly inaccurate value for some things. Like something that I know is worth hundreds of dollars is coming up as $3, and something I know that's worth like 10 is coming up as $200. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And then you try to refresh it a couple of times, and it sometimes works. If not, I usually just log on to eBay and see what it last sold for, and kind of take a quick average of it and say it's worth $50 as far as I'm concerned, because that's about what I would pay for it. So,
but it is helping me get organized, so I can't complain there. And
did you also see the note that you can actually make a notation on there as to like where it is, as in like you can say right bookshelf, shelf 3. so like you can like get really really granular with organizing it.
Yeah, and I definitely kind of want to do that, because I definitely want to keep this as a record of like, okay, this is the stuff I have, so when I'm out there in the world, I can just quickly scan what I have, so I don't buy something you already have. Like the dungeon, the Mad Mage that I bought now for the 3rd time, it seems. Even though in my brain, I said, I don't own this yet. I need to buy this copy because, I stole my copy from Dimitri. By the way, I need to return his copy. Oh, cool. Oh, here's the copy I just bought. Oh, here's another copy. This must be Dimitri's copy. Another copy. Like, what? So,
Whoops.
So yeah, it's helped me at least organize that. For pops though, like I know I could scan in the pops, but I'm just going to continue using the pop app for that.
I just like have it all in one spot, because you can just switch
Yeah.
between the different things. Because I got my action figures, whichever I don't have many of them scanned in. I have the pop figures. I have board games cataloged, which honestly, board games are a lot more valuable than you might imagine.
Oh yeah.
Or at least the replacement cost. Let's put it that way. Valuable, I don't know about that. There's a very few board games that I think people pay extraordinary amounts of money for. Jay might be able to speak more to that, but
I did think about scanning for like minis and stuff like that I have, because I have thousands and thousands of minis, and getting them cataloged and knowing what I have and what I don't have would be very useful.
Yeah,
but
the problem is like the minis, even the ones that are stamped, like they're like the ones that say WizKids or WotC on the bottom of them, and say like this is number 3 of 60 from whichever set. Even when it actually has that information on it, it's so small and it's the same color as the base that it'll be almost impossible to scan. And
well, I mean, I don't mind typing it in and taking a picture of it. That's fine. And the newer, the 3rd edition minis are exactly the way you just said. It's a black base where the plastic is molded, so sometimes it gets rubbed down. The newer stuff is it's either black base and it's printed on there with nice big bold white text and stands out real well, or it's the clear base with the white text, which fucking why? I can't read that shit. I can't read that shit even worse than I can't read the black on black. Like, at least with the black on black, I can hold a light and catch the letters with the shadowing and see what the fuck I'm reading. But with the white on white, it just I'm old. Can't see shit. But yeah, so I didn't know. But yeah, the board game stuff. There's definitely a lot of expensive stuff. Jay, you were saying something.
Oh yeah, board games. It just like role playing games. Like there's expensive shit, and the vast majority of them are going to be worth absolutely nothing. But some of the Kickstarter ones, I've got hate that I'm trying to offload for about $250, which is about what it sells for. Me, my buddy Mike, and Jacob, we just backed a Kickstarter literally yesterday. That was another $250 for a board game. Then if you go into like the old collectibles, people think Monopoly and shit like that, but there's some other ones that are. So there's a game called Monster Mansion, and if you type it up on eBay, you're not going to fucking find it, because there was one that was released in the 80s that I had as a kid that was Universal monsters, like Frankenstein, Dracula with all the fucking Bela Lugosi and all of those guys. And that one, if you find a complete copy, hell, it's $400 or $500. But it's not, people don't give a shit about the board game. They give a shit that it's Universal monsters. So like you may find a Disney
it's
board
a real
game.
niche collector to find find a buyer for something like that.
People who love, it's not necessarily board game collectors who are buying it. It's people who love Universal monsters, and there's a lot of those. People who love horror are going to buy that.
Sure.
But there's tons and tons and tons of those kind of games that exist. I don't know the vast majority of them.
I love how you say you can't find it on eBay. I fucking find it on eBay as the first result.
Bullshit.
I'm
looking at it right now, motherfucker.
Link it, because I was literally search for it.
Monster Mansion.
Yeah, type in Monster Mansion board game.
I put the massive eBay link in our podcast chat.
I guarantee you the one you're going to show is wrong. Where's that podcast chat?
Link.
That's actually it. Yeah, that's definitely it. $134.
Oh, you can't see me, but I'm flipping you off. 2 fingers high in the sky.
I'm very curious. What is the exact search term you put in?
I typed in Monster Mansion board game Universal Monsters.
Okay.
And so 2 results popped up. The Asmodee board game Monster Mansion, which is not the one you were talking about, looks to be like a revamp of it.
By the way, I'm probably about to buy this. I've been looking for it for years.
And there's Horrified. There's another one for $8. That's the refrigerator magnet. So don't buy that one. But yeah, first result, love it.
Yeah, wow. I didn't put in the word Universal, so
there you go.
Yeah,
yeah, because the Asmodee one pops up.
$8.95 refrigerator magnet. That's funny.
Yeah, the collectible market is fucking wild, man.
Well, like my Dark Tower copy, like just like I don't know,
Dark Tower is one of the ones that I know but that has a unique story to it. They pulled it from production, so there's actually not that many of those.
Yeah,
but
I said on 3.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I got lucky.
It's also not complete. That's why it's only $135.
I mean, it's a start, isn't it?
No, because you're never going to find the missing pieces.
Whatever. I found it nonetheless. So yeah, like I said, I've been organizing these things, and like I said, I got all these minis. At least, like to me, if I can like just take pictures of all the minis, maybe, and then I don't know. Like I just there's so many goddamn minis out there, and like I had one of my Adventure League players ask about some minis. Like, hey, do you know I want a Viking-like guy, but I want it to be an elf, and I want him to have a sword and a shield, or an axe and a shield. I'm like, hey, you got like Miniature Market and like Minotaur Miniatures if they're still around.
What's the company that you can just make a mini?
Like you go to Hero Forge and make a mini. But
that one. Yeah,
but that's $90. to get that printed out in color.
Hey man, if you want a very, very specific mini, that's probably the best way to do
but
it.
it's like $5 to use their program to make a STL and just have somebody print it for you. You can definitely get some rando on Etsy to print it for you for way the fuck less than $90.
Yeah, I mean, so there are options for sure. I don't know, just the minis is such a mountainous hole. Like, I don't know how I'm supposed to like
Well, you let me
tackle the
know
problem.
whenever you figure that out. That is my next thing to tackle once I get through all my books, which I don't really foresee me ever getting through, considering every time I get rid of 3 books, I buy 5 more. So,
me and Christian just over here looking at you weird ass miniatures collectors.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's fun. Like, Dan, you got a miniature for Father's Day.
I mean, it might have been a gift to myself.
Is it a mini? I mean,
it's not really a mini, considering it's the size of my cat.
I love it. Isn't it great?
Yeah, it's the WizKids Tarrasque Mini, and before anybody says anything, I definitely did not pay $400 for it. They had it on like a super sale, so I figured $100.
$390.
So $100 plus free shipping was pretty reasonable, especially since I still see it for sale on eBay
For more.
for $400 to $600, and I would never ever pay for that. But it's awesome. It actually is very well made miniature, and by miniature, like I said, it's the size of a cat, a full grown fat cat.
It really is. The best part about that is like Gargantuan in 5.0 and 5.5. It's anything that's for a 4x4 square or larger. And so like you get to this point where like they need to have like a colossal thing that's almost a size up, you know.
And they did in 3.5.
They did, yeah.
And I don't know why they got rid of that.
Probably just editing out, because it seems kind of redundant. Because when you start getting to colossal and gargantuan, they're kind of like 2 words that mean the same thing in a lot of ways. And so you can just say, hey, you know, colossal or gargantuan is this size and above. Do you really need that extra modifier over huge as well? So I can see why they got rid of it. I bet you there was a discussion where they asked this exact question, had some back and forth on it. And eventually decided to get rid of it. But I love how big that base is. And like you put the minis to scale next to it and it just like dwarfs them all.
So let's talk colossal and gargantuan for just a second. Is there any stat difference other than the amount of space that it takes up between a gargantuan and a colossal?
You guys would have to tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, is there a size of die increase or something?
Yes.
In third edition, 100% there was. You got, different. I think you had lower AC because you had lower.
Yeah, you keep on losing AC from loss of dex, but you automatically increase in strength. You automatically increase your die type for the damage. So like, a hill giant's going to do 3d6 with his greatsword, whereas a storm giant, who's the next size up, is going to be doing 4d6 or 5d6 with his greatsword. And then if that storm giant were to get enlarged, he becomes gargantuan. He's doing like, I don't know, 6d12 or some shit. Until you get up to like colossal, which the only one I know for 100% would be the third edition version of the Tarrasque and the colossal red dragon and gold dragon, for sure. But I imagine titans and things like that would also be colossal. What else? The walking statues from Waterdeep. Those are also colossal.
My assumption, and mind you, I don't know shit about fourth, but 5e, they love to sell miniatures, and it's going to be hard as hell to put a colossal miniature on the board. Whereas third edition, they didn't give a shit about miniatures in third, so they likely did some sort of a reduction because of that. Would be my guess.
In third edition? No, there were colossal and gargantuan sized miniatures in third edition for sure.
But they they weren't nearly. I definitely don't remember any that were that big, and the vast
So-
majority of
Well,
game
come on
masters.
over for my party on the 4th, man. I'll show you my colossal red dragon as it
The-
dwarfs the shit out of my
the
giraffes.
vast majority of games as well didn't even use minis in 3rd edition. It wasn't as ingrained as it is in 4th and 5th.
So
I
I
don't know
think
if that's true.
I'm going to guess real quick that the reason they probably got rid of it in 5th edition, like I said, I don't remember 4th. I don't have any way of referencing 4th. In 5th edition, though, a huge creature has a D12 hit die, and a gargantuan creature has a D20 hit die. There
Okay.
really isn't a hit die above D20.
2d20.
So there's no reason to have colossal at that point in time, unless you're going to give it a unique rule, which there may have been a unique rule for it in 3rd, and they just kind of felt it was just redundant, like I said, and got rid of it for 5th. I don't think it's a loss of things. It's cool to say something is colossal, you know, because when I look at what they gave examples as gargantuan is like a kraken and a purple worm, and then I look at the Tarask and Bahamut and fucking Tiamat sitting up here on my shelf, and I look at the purple worm that's on the other shelf and go, yeah, you guys aren't in the same class category. But they probably didn't have a mechanic to give them the special difference between the two.
Mhm.
So the size differences, I'm looking at the chart from 3.5 right now. Size differences, so baseline's medium, 0s all around as far as attack AC and special attack modifiers like grappling and stuff like that. You have a -1 to AC if you become large, +4 to special attacks, which would be like grapple. Huge, -2 AC, +8. -4 AC for gargantuan, +12. Colossal, -8, +16. So you're much slower. You obviously, well, I'm sorry, much slower as far as it is concerned with like AC. It's easier to fucking hit. And on the reverse side, which I don't know if Waples, you know about this, but like as you there was actually a reason to use reduced person in 3rd edition. Like as a wizard or a sorcerer, I would frequently reduce person just to have extra attack bonus. For whatever reason, it gave you a +1 to attack bonus to get from medium to small, and B, it gave you a +1 AC. and a +4 modifier to hide. The only downside was that you had a -4 to grapple. But it keeps on going down all the way down to diminutive and fine, like a brownie, which would be +8 to attack and +16 to hide.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely got rid of most of that for 5th and simplified it down.
Yeah, it's really fucking granular, and they kept it. I kept it or a version of it during Pathfinder 1st edition. I don't know if they kept it in the 2nd edition, but it was one of those things where like it did kind of matter in later game because you would have like your cleric who would maybe drink an enlarged person potion and then cast Righteous Might, which means you go from large to huge. So now he's got 15-foot reach and he's swinging his mace for like 4d6 plus 15 or something like that. Because like in 3rd edition, I mean, never really carried over to 5th edition. Thankfully, you as a mid-tier to high-level cleric were usually a better fighter than the fighters were, because if you had the time to buff, you would have A, the attack bonus of a fighter with divine power, B, be the size of a frickin' giant, so you have opportunity attacks whenever somebody come charging at you, and then because you're so big, you can basically not be knocked down and could grapple the hell out of people and all sorts of other crap. It was ridiculous. I miss it sometimes, but usually not, because I don't miss calculating all those fucking bonuses.
Yeah.
I literally had to have a chart to figure it out, or eventually I ended up picking up a program called Hero Lab and just just click all the buttons of, okay, I've got these buffs active. Okay, yeah, my attack bonus is +37 right now.
Yeah.
I still miss? Fuck.
Yeah, my high level fighter where I had 8 attacks around, and the first attack is at full attack value. The next one's at like -4, then -4 on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Too much math.
Progressively, harder to hit. The more attack. I mean, it makes sense, but it also is kind of a pain in the ass. And I maybe it's because I'm old, but I kind of prefer the way like Shadowdark does it, and you have one attack around. That's it. Nope.
Been, yeah.
Multiple weapons. That's nice.
I
Still
have,
one attack around.
I have completely read through the OSE books that I picked up off of you, and
Oh yeah.
I'm like, this is great. I just want to play this forever. This, it's just D&D basic without Thaco. If you
Yep.
don't want to use Thaco, you don't have to.
Yeah, if
you
you want
can,
to
but
modernize and have that feel like a later edition D&D, they have the
Yeah.
stats for both, which is
Yeah,
great. I really like that about OSE.
yeah, and every stat block on a monster has both ACs or whatever, both values. So it's real simple. You don't have to stress over it, and
Yeah.
it's just simple. It's just simple D&D, and I miss
Yeah,
it.
and the advanced version is great too. And there's
Yep.
a lot of great third-party stuff for it too, I found.
This is the perfect segue into my main topic for this evening.
Oh Jesus, that's
I
not
know
the
I
main
don't.
topic.
I know I don't tell you guys like what ahead of time what I have planned, but I always have something planned, and this is the perfect topic to kind of get into it.
I hope we ruined most of your plans. I'm just saying.
No, you don't.
Damn.
So, so at Adventures League, there was a discussion about a rule for 5.5. So in the podcast chat, I linked to the free rules for both the light weapon and the weapon masteries table. And the weapon mastery that we're going to discuss tonight is the weapon property of Nick. Okay? So take a moment and read through the light weapon property, what it means, what it says. And I want you to read through what Nick is, okay, as a weapon property. Now,
I feel like we discussed this when this shit came out.
Maybe.
It's confusing at best and kind of annoying at worst.
Just wait to the conclusion.
All right.
So
Nick, you make, all right, go ahead. I'll let you do it. You got it worked out in your head.
I want you to read it before we get into the details.
Where do you link it?
In the podcast chat, in our Discord.
All right. When it reads, Nick, when you make the extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of the attack action instead of a bonus action. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. All right.
Yeah, you got to read light as well too.
All right. Light, where are you at? Where are you hiding?
I got it. When you take the attack action on your turn and attack with a light weapon, you can make one extra attack as a bonus action later on the same turn. That extra attack must be made with a different light weapon, and you don't add your ability modifier to the extra attack's damage unless that modifier is negative.
Okay.
For example, you can attack with a short sword in one hand and a dagger in the other using the attack action and a bonus action, but you don't add your strength or dex to the modifier to the damage roll of the bonus action unless it's negative.
All right. So don't make any comments on that yet. Just think about this for now.
Okay.
I want to go into my story.
All right.
So, the player had a scimitar in his main hand, and he had a dagger or short sword, I believe. Actually, no. A dagger in his offhand. All right. Now, you heard the terminology I just used there: main hand and offhand. Mm-hmm. Come to find out, main hand and offhand do not exist in 5.5. To say those terms or to use those terms mean you're playing the game wrong. Okay, and that comes from an official source to me, direct to my DMs. There is no more main hand offhand in D&D 5.5 as there was in 5e. Okay? Heck, I didn't know that. I was still using those as terms. So that does not exist. So the idea of main hand and offhand attacks do not exist. There's just the light weapon property, its effect, and the Nick weapon property and its effect. And so the issue came down to, if I have a weapon and I attack with it first, and it has the Vex Weapon Master property, which just lets my next attack on that opponent have advantage. All right. Does my, and it's a light weapon, so does that allow me to make the light weapon attack for free as the Nick describes, or does that still cost a bonus action for it to apply? Now, the question of whether or not the advantage applies to that was also in dispute, but I think it would since it is an attack roll, so it does apply. But the question really comes down to is, do you have to make the attack first with the weapon that has Nick to trigger the other light weapon attack to be free and not cost a bonus action? Or does when light triggers the other weapon attack, does the Nick then apply and make it free? And I want to hear what all your answers are, and then I'll give you the official answer from my D&D source.
Okay, well, I'm ready.
Okay.
You go right ahead. I'll go last.
So, this is stupid at best, but it sounds like, okay, because Nick is when you make it with the light property. So it sounds like if you want to use Nick, you got to make the Nick, whatever weapon has that Nick property.
Okay. So you say that the weapon mastery has to attack with, you have to attack with the weapon mastery for the weapon mastery to trigger. Essentially, right?
Actually, you know what? No, you don't. It doesn't sound like you do. According to God, this is so confusing. No. It just because your other weapon could have Nick, because light just allows you to make another attack with a different light weapon. If that different light weapon has Nick, Nick says, hey, when you're making that extra attack, you can do it as part of the attack action instead of as a bonus action. So if your first weapon is a light weapon, which is what allows you to make another attack in the first place, and your other weapon is Nick, that is okay, is that when you use that other weapon, that Nick weapon, that becomes part of the attack action, which means you still have a bonus action.
Okay. So let's just leave that there for you, Christian. Dan,
Yep.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Go ahead, Dan.
Let's see. I'm thinking you need to attack with the Nick weapon first, if you want to have the Nick property to proc.
Okay. You go with that, Jay?
I remember actually researching this a year and a half ago whenever this came out, and said this is fucking stupid because everyone was busy arguing over it. And then the official WotC answer was even more confusing. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not playing this fucking version of D&D anymore.
Yeah.
Jay?
So initially, I was just going to give a stupid answer of how these are stupid fucking rules in the first place. But no, you have to take the light weapon has to be the primary attack. Doesn't matter hand or whatever, but you have to take the light weapon action to get the Nick property. And it's just like Christian said, they both attack during your primary action, during your primary attack, and you still have a bonus action to do whatever the hell you're doing with it.
Okay. So my opinion, as I've read all this, and given the other weapon masteries and how they work, okay, they all seem to kind of follow the idea of you attack with the weapon and the weapon mastery triggers. There are a couple of weapon masteries that don't do that. I believe.
Yeah, what the fuck is consistency?
Yeah, let's not muddy the waters, though. Let's stay with this one.
Right, but so that's how I come with it. A lot of them say when you hit a creature, when you attack it all basically, for me, trigger the idea of how it all read was you attack with the weapon mastery triggers. Okay, so I said, so my ruling as it was at that moment was just you have to attack with the Nick weapon first. And then that causes the light action trigger to not be a bonus action, but to be a part of the free action. And I can kind of see this. I can almost see like a programmer programming this both ways and having it both be correct. And so the official answer that I got from the source that requested to be nameless.
That is not Jeremy Crawford.
Oh no, God, I wish he was still around. So the official answer is both interpretations are correct and both interpretations are incorrect at the exact same time. DM may choose which.
What kind of Schrodinger shit is that?
And so when I said that doesn't work for me, I run Adventurers League /D&D encounters where raw rules as written, not rules as intended, is the defining thing. I need a defining answer, even if it's not one. I need to know one or the other. And they're like, we can't. You just have to agree with the table to go one way or the other.
Is there a fucking errata for this shit? Because it's
No.
such a confusing way of writing it.
Nope. They both are correct, and they both are incorrect at the exact same time.
That's the dumbest thing that any of us have heard today, for sure.
Yep.
And so I sit here like, what the hell? Like, I think the way I interpret it, I think that's logical. Like, weapon masters have to be attacked with in order for them to trigger. Okay? But I can also see that Nick is the exception where as you're attacking with it then triggers before you pull from the bonus action pool. Like, I don't mind seeing it both ways. But for fuck's sake, just choose one. And so I can just go, this is the way it rules as written is, rules as intended is this, Adventure League is rules as written, so we're following this as to begin with. That's why it's, and I know there's a lot of discussion around it. I know a lot of people have their own ideas of what it should be and shouldn't be. But having that be
both ways.
Yeah. And you can argue it both ways, and you're actually correct. I think you can argue it both ways, and both interpretations are absolutely correct. And that just irritates me.
I agree. I think that there should be an official, this is the way, even if the way it's written, either way does seem correct with the way it's written, I think they should have an official, this is the intended rule, this is how we as WotC say that this rule should be run.
Well, see, that doesn't even work either, because when the errata comes through, all right, in Adventures League, they haven't really made a decision on this for encounters yet, but with Adventures League, it was always rules as written. So when Crawford came back on Sage Advice or Unearthed Arcana and said, hey, the intent was for it to work this way, but it was written the opposite of that by accident. I had to use the opposite of that by accident version of the rule. But at least I could say, hey, this is rules as written, and that's what I have to go by. I know the intended rule is for it to be worked the other way, but I have to go rules as written for Adventures League. And it was a very easy enough stance that I can enforce it, and everyone could be happy with, the albeit dumb, conclusion
but this
of
one,
rules as written.
You can't do that because
there's no rules as written clarification at all.
There is no right answer, meaning
Right.
any player can go, no, this is right. And you have to be like, well, technically, yes.
Kinda, yeah.
It's just kind of however you want to do it, man.
Which is just frustrating,
Now the simple the simple thing of this though is, does it make a fucking difference?
So in the player's case, he was playing the rogue where he attacked with the Vex weapon. Okay, first. All right. And so the Vex weapon would allow him, if he hit the creature, to have advantage on his offhand attack, which would then be at advantage. Okay, triggering sneak attack. Okay.
Excuse me, there's no offhand?
Shut up. Fuck you.
So it matters because he wants to be able to take, if he wants to be able to take that attack as part of the attack action using the Nick weapon, he wants to get advantage. So he wants to use Vex first to set up the next attack.
Right.
To get the
but he wants it also to be part of the. He also wants it to be part of the attack action because he's a rogue, which means he wants to use his cunning action to get the heck out of dodge as soon as he sneak attacks that guy.
Yeah, and honestly, I fucking love it because I hate rogues, and this fixes one of the big problems I have with rogues. So honestly, I'm all fucking for it. But the whole idea is all these weapon masteries are you have to attack with it for it. And I thought I was right with rules as written because that's how I thought the rules as written was meant to apply. But no, because they just decided not to put this thing in. If Nick said, when you make the attack with the life property, it no longer costs a bonus action and instead is made as part of the free action or the main attack action, that's fine. But and I can see how it reads that way, and I'm perfectly fine with that. And I'm perfectly fine with him running his character that way because that's the way he wanted it to work, you know. But I just wanted a solid answer from WotC, you know.
Yeah, that's the bigger issues. Them not being willing to give you an actual answer.
Well, I don't. I'll be fair. I don't think that they're unwilling to give an answer. I think that the people who wrote the rules no longer exist.
Yeah, but if they're not part of it anymore, and you're running the company or you're part of the company, and they're putting you in charge of coming up with the fucking rules answers, then it's your choice as to whether it works one way or the other. Not both are wrong and right.
Yeah, here's
but then
the thing.
You have to admit that they were wrong.
Okay, they're not there anymore.
The person that wrote the rules has moved on. There is somebody now in his position. And
there
now
is not
his call.
Someone in Crawford's position.
Well, they need to put somebody there. I mean, that would be the smart thing to do.
There's somebody that is the D&D person that is in charge of, ultimately how the mechanics and how the things work. That's the same person that's making the decision of how do those subclasses end up and how do those rules end up they put up. Whoever's making that call is the person.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway,
so when I look at the credits for Ravenloft, the game designer is currently F. Weasley Schneider.
On Weasley shit is this?
But that's just for Ravenloft.
That's Wes Schneider, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't. The project team, the game designers are still Jerry Crawford, Christopher Perkins, and there's a bunch of other people who are in the role as well too. But I don't think that most of them are still around, because
they have new heads of D&D. They have a new head game designer, and that is the person that the buck stops with him. They do have one. They do. I thought it was Justice Armand, baby. I don't remember who they appointed, but they did in fact appoint somebody to replace him.
Yeah, this is the issue when you kind of turn role-playing games into board games. You get little tiny nuanced things like this, and especially
Justice Armand is the new game design director at Wizards of the Coast, leading all Dungeons and Dragons design.
So there you go. There is a name attached to it.
He is the ultimate head. So it is up to him.
Yeah, but when you get games like this, the vast majority of it, it's going to be whatever. Just do whatever works for your table. But because you're in Adventures League, and Adventures League must be run this way and only this way, then they have to put somebody in charge of that shit. It's like a Magic tournament at that point. You have to have a fucking rules judge.
Yeah.
Yep. And apparently it can't be the person running the table. It can't be the...
Yeah. He's the new man. His second in command is James Hake.
Yeah, we know that guy.
Yeah. Cool guy.
Yeah. He's fun to talk to.
But so those are the people. They decide what is the rules and what is not.
So anyway, that
was a revisiting of D&D 2024 that I didn't want to
do. Yeah, I think we had mostly.
Thanks for reminding me of why I stopped playing that fucking edition. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
was actually, you know what? Honestly, that was not even the most stupid part. It was the golf bag of weapons. I'm gonna weapon swap. I'm gonna push you with this weapon and then knock you down with this one, and then I'm gonna swap to something else because I can do that. Because I can do that now, and it's so cool.
There's a picture from, I think it's from 4th edition of the fighter, and he's like standing there. It's like the middle-aged guy with like the fucking cool hairstyle of the era, and he's got every weapon ever made of all types, like a halberd, a great axe, a two-handed sword, a zweihander, a scimitar, a khopesh, 2 long swords, 4 short swords, daggers. He just covered in weapons, and they're like, fighters are the masters of all weapon types.
Yeah.
Like,
Now
that
all
part, I'm fine.
fighters need to have like a caddy that accompanies them with their just bag of weapons, and as the foe approaches, the fighter's like, you know what? Give me the 9-iron for this one.
And here's the thing. I historically am okay with that because like I grew up playing 2nd edition and 3rd edition. In 3rd edition,
You had
you
a
had
golf
to
bag.
have a adamantine weapon, a mithril weapon, a silver weapon,
Axiomatic,
a cold iron
chaotic,
weapon,
yeah.
an axiomatic weapon, whatever the fuck. You actually had to have a whole bunch of other stuff in order to be
Ghost
effective.
touch.
And I'm fine with that because you know what you could do in a round in 3rd edition? You could drop your weapon and pull a new one, and then use that weapon. That's what you can do in that.
you can
So
do it
I
now.
guess technically you could, in this edition, drop a weapon or hit somebody, drop a weapon, and draw another one. But
Yeah.
it's not. They're not just doing that. They're stowing the weapon as well. That's not the same.
So you do get a drop is a free action. So you could
Okay.
drop a weapon. Your object interaction would be to pull a weapon. And to stow a weapon. So you can't stow and pull at the same time. But you could drop, pull a new weapon out, and attack. So you could attack, drop that weapon, pull out a club, attack with that.
I'm not going to get into it, Waples.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, there was some weird.
There is
Yeah.
some tech bullshit that people were going off about, where you can knock somebody prone, then push them off of something, and still not have to drop a weapon. And I was like, this is too much and really fucking dumb, and I hate it. And
honestly,
everyone's like, oh, this is so cool. It's just like playing an MMO. I'm like, that's what I don't want to do at a game table.
yeah, my brain is just hurting even going over this stuff again. Like I'm so glad I have moved on from this game.
Yep. Well, thanks for that little revisit.
I don't hate you for it, but I kind of hate you for it.
Hey, I hate myself too.
What else we got?
Anywho, yeah. Christian, you got something?
None of you guys came prepared. I got more topics.
No, I've got more topics. I just wanted to give an opportunity to somebody else.
No, man, you guys go on. If you run out of stuff, I will throw something in the ring. But go on.
So yeah, I'm running a Shadowdark game on Monday nights, and by virtue of the fact that everyone ended up randomly rolling their characters like you do in Shadowdark, everyone ended up in the more Nordic themed of Curse Scroll 3. So we've got like a seer, and we've got a couple of Nord background people, a sea wolf, etc. and so on. So I'm like, I'll run in the Isles of Andric hexcrawl, and started looking for hexcrawl rules for Shadowdark, and they're pretty simplistic in the core rulebook. And I'm like, okay, I've got to find something better than this. Then I found, I think in Curse Scroll 4, there's some more hexcrawl rules that are still pretty simplistic. I mean, it has like one page for hex generation, which just it just kind of do a circular loop of creating hexes, but doesn't really do much other than tell you the danger level, the type of terrain it is, and the basically you can change the terrain by 1 or 2 steps. So you can't go from desert to Arctic, obviously, but you can go from desert to swamp, so on. But what I found interesting is that she has like a couple of little things where you can do points of interest, but it's kind of vague on how you do it. And I didn't grow up doing hex crawls. I didn't like. I remember when I got my Forgotten Realms box set, and it came with a little like transparency piece that had a printed hex map on it. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I guess I can count out how many hexes and how long it's going to take to get from Waterdeep to Neverwinter. And that was about as far as I thought about it, because I don't really recall there being anything in second edition that described hex crawling. And if there was, I didn't read it. But the way Kelsey kind of lays it out is that hexes are 6 miles across, which is kind of standard for a macro size hex crawl. Terrain impacts the number of hexes PCs can enter per day. PCs can undertake tasks while traveling, and they may encounter harsh weather or points of interest. Random encounter checks are based on the number of hexes the group enters. PCs and their mounts can travel for up to 8 hours a day. Food and water. PCs and mounts can go 3 days without consuming a ration. They take 1 con damage each day thereafter. Mounts find the rations during a rest unless they're in a barren location. Entering hexes. You can walk 4 hexes per day. Mounted, 6 hexes per day. Sailing, 8 hexes per day. And terrain basically adjusts those numbers. So if it's clear or you're on a road or something, it's 1 for 1. 2 for 1 if it's difficult terrain, so you're like hilly country or there's no trails. Perilous if you're crossing a desert or the Arctic. It's 8 hexes to enter a single hex. So it's basically 2 days to cross a hex if you're walking. Then, based upon the standard sort of random encounter way he does it is unsafe is 1 in 6, risky is 2 in 6, deadly is 3 in 6. So maximum 50% chance as you're crossing a hex that you might have an encounter. Okay, so I kind of did this on Monday, having only just read it over 2 or 3 times and not really had much prepared other than a couple of random encounters and a point of interest. And the tasks are as follows. Each PC can attempt 1 task per day. PCs can do the same task. Each task effect is limited to once per day. The GM determines the DC of each check, but the default is DC 12, as is usual. Forecast. Intelligence or wisdom. Treat the weather as 1 step better until the next rest. So basically, determine their forecast so you know when to take shelter if there's a storm coming, sort of thing.
Are there rules for how storms affect players?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, as far as their travel speed.
Yeah. Yep.
March song, charisma. You can grant 1 person a luck token. Con or charisma check for push. Basically, the PCs can basically move an extra base hexes of 50%, but they have disadvantage on their con checks until they end their next rest. So if they get into a fight, that might be a problem. Scout, dexterity or wisdom. Basically, you're scouting out there, making your stealth checks or your perception checks. Reduce the danger level of all hexes by 1 step until the next rest. So if you're in a very dangerous location, you're scouting ahead, you can go from 3 and 6 to 2 and 6. Not bad. A minimum is always 1 and 6, so everything's always technically unsafe. There's always the possibility of combat or encountering something. Trailblaze. For each PC who succeeds, reduce the terrain type of 1d4 adjacent hexes by 1 step. Can't be used on impassable terrain. The PCs can choose which terrain to affect as they travel. It lasts until the next rest. Nobody picked this, and I'm kind of glad they didn't, because I'm not really sure how I'd keep track of that. It seemed like at that point in time, my head was getting filled with like, okay, I can't keep track of all the things. So they're -1 on the weather, -1 on the safety. Okay, and if they're going to reduce the terrain type from mountain to hill over here, and I was like, okay, how the fuck am I supposed to keep track of all this stuff? Managed to do it. It was fine. But the procedure is pretty straightforward, and I looked up several other things of how other games handle it. But Shadowdark's version of it is procedure. GM determines and shares the weather. So I rolled 2d6, rolled the weather. They ended up with just, fair weather. After one of the people did forecast, it was bad to start, went down to fair. GM determines and shares visible hexes and their danger levels. I didn't share the danger level because that seemed weird to share what the danger level is if they never entered into them. Like, if you can see a camping army on the horizon, sure, it's more dangerous. But like, if it's just a forest or a mountain, why would you know that? And then the GM rolls a d6 for each newly visible hex. On a 1, it has a point of interest. If the point of interest is visible, the GM shares this information. I also found that weird. I feel like this is something you should prep ahead of time, because then if I rolled that 1, I have to make up a point of interest or insert a dungeon or a ruin or something there. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then step 4, PCs make their task checks in any order they choose. Step 5, the PCs choose a direction to travel and a number of hexes to move. Then they move accordingly. Step 6, the GM checks for random encounters in every other hex using the hex's danger level. So every hex they are crossing into. Step 7, each time the PCs enter a hex, the GM repeats steps 2 to 3. So again, do the shares visible hex and
is
points
these
of
the other rules you found, or is this
no,
the standard?
This is one that is from Curse Scroll 4. Like, this is her official rules.
So I will say
they're very similar to the ones that are actually printed in the back of Western Reaches. You
touched on one thing that, and it's one of the reasons I've never really liked or wanted to run hex crawls. Right? And it's you have there's a point of interest here. If I don't already have that point of interest, I have to make shit up. And I don't like doing that. I've never liked doing that. It's better, obviously, if you have a dozen point of interests already written up.
They do give you a table of points of interest to generate.
It is a real simple table, though.
But
it is a detailed table.
A table doesn't really help you. It's like, okay, well, there's some ruins here. What's the fucking ruins? Are there ghouls there? Are there wraiths there? You have to figure out that encounter at that point.
That is exactly what I felt too, which is why I was glad that they didn't pop up with any points of interest along the way, because I was going to have to riff as best I could, and I didn't really have anything prepared. Because I was like, oh, it's a hex crawl, and it's supposed to be procedurally generated while I'm doing it. This makes sense, sure. And then I started doing it, I was like, oh, fuck, there is something missing here that I am not noticing.
Yeah.
But anyway, steps 8 and 9 are repeat steps 4 to 8 until all the hex travel is completed. Then when all hex travel is completed, go to camping. Camping is actually interesting. There's actually some cool things in camping you do, and that's also reprinted in the Western Reaches, which Kelsey just released yesterday. But as far as you were asking about weather earlier, weather basically reduces the visibility you have to other hexes. So basically, you're going in blind when you're picking your hex. Which can cause you to get lost. If you have beautiful weather, then you have visibility out for like 2 hexes, which I feel like makes sense if you're on a mountainside, not so much if you're in a dense forest.
Yeah.
And then terrain, of course, increases the number of steps, like I said. And then she has a couple of small charts for mild season versus harsh season, and then she has a section on camping. And you have your standard campfire rules where you essentially use three torches to make a campfire for 8 hours. PCs without a campfire have a disadvantage on all checks. But there's different tasks you can do for camping, which is batten down, cooking, entertaining. Again, giving people luck points back. Which I'm glad she actually introduced these at this point 2 different things you can do in order to actually have luck points regenerate, other than just have a seer in your party or a cleric. Hunt, so you can gain the benefits of rations without consuming any. Keeping watch, obviously, makes sense. Predicting the weather again, and crafting. You can craft mundane weapon ammunition like arrows or crossbow bolts and so on. The other one, a cook, I thought was kind of cool. Each PC that you can make an intelligence or wisdom check. Each PC that consumes a ration that has been cooked in this way gains +2 temporary HP.
Shit.
Kind of nice in a game that has characters running around 3 to 5 HP.
Hey, Christian, can we start camping? I could use some extra hit points.
And I thought she also has a section on fast traveling, which I was like, really? There's fast traveling? And essentially, it's like if you've cleared out these locations, or they're clearly safe because they're within a hex or 2 of a well-traveled and well-fortified city or something like that, you can basically fast travel through it. It's not like, click the button in Skyrim and you fast travel, but it decreases the amount of time and decreases the amount of threats that you might encounter along the way, and essentially makes safe hexes. I don't think I'm ever going to get quite into that, but I wanted to share this because I did a deep dive this week. And some of you guys saw my mail call this week.
Yeah.
And you might have seen a board game that it came called Outdoor Survival. You guys ever heard of
Yeah.
this? Read about this?
I've heard about it because we have talked about it on here before.
But you can't find it on eBay.
Probably not. No, definitely can't.
I bet you
There
I
are
definitely
no
did.
used bookstores.
Yeah, there's no used
But
bookstores in Charleston either.
yeah, apparently, because of course, Gygax and Artisan come from wargaming roots. They they wanted to have realistically simulate travel for these characters traveling from point A to point B, and this was the best game at the time that realistically simulated travel. And basically all hex crawls come from this game. And I'm looking at the map board movement chart and the difficulty from crossing from one terrain hex into another one. And basically, it even comes with a little booklet on like actually how to do wilderness survival, a primer on wilderness survival skills for the players of the game, outdoor survival, and tells you how to do like Boy Scout stuff like purifying water in the wild and things like that, catching fish, killing game, determining the compass direction so you don't get lost, first aid, and so on. But I thought this was really interesting, and it also even comes with scenarios that you could kind of actually adapt to D&D pretty easily. So, scenario 5, pursue. An escaped prisoner has gotten out into the wilderness to safety. As a pursuer, you must recapture the escapee before he gets off the board. Rescue. Locate lost persons and bring them out of the wilderness. Search. Locate a lost person. Survival. Get across the large wilderness area as quickly as possible. And lost. Get out of the wilderness, not off the board, before thirst and starvation render you not survived. Not dead, but not survived.
Yeah, not survived.
Yeah. So, thought that was kind of cool because I had listened to a couple of podcasts this week, and a couple of interviews and YouTube videos of people going over hex crawls and how they do them and how they've done them or seen them done before. And of course, multiple people had mentioned outdoor survival. I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to pick this game up. It's like $30 on eBay or 3,000. It depends on where you look for it.
Yes.
But I thought that was very interesting. The other ones I looked into Old School Essentials. Old School Essentials actually has a section on it. It is very similar to Shadowdark's version of it. It gets a little deeper and a lot more text because Kelsey is nothing but prompt in her and very short in her text. She's straight to the point. They're a little more verbose in old school essentials, but otherwise it's pretty much the same thing. Sequences of play per day is decide course, losing direction, which they included, which Kelsey did not, which I thought was kind of interesting. Wandering monsters, random encounters, description, describing the terrain you're passing through and any points of interest along the way, and then ending the day. But again, it doesn't really. The thing that I was looking for wasn't here, and that was really how to populate and really give the description to what these locations are, because I can only come up with so many descriptions of a mountainous Arctic terrain before I'm out of fucking descriptions. And I'm like, okay, there's got to be somebody who did something. So there's this guy who writes for Old School Essentials named Todd Lieback, and he did 2 Kickstarters in the last couple of years that I actually discovered one of his books, just happened upon it at Half Price Books a couple of months back, called Populated Hexes Monthly. I think I might have mentioned it at some point to you guys, but I thought maybe he has something in there. He has some really, really granular hex crawls. Essentially, he takes a 6-mile hex and then subdivides it into 36 hexes, and then populates it with so much shit. And I'm like, I'm getting overwhelmed again. This is too much.
That's
Like I mean, are they never
That's a
going to
g-
leave the 6x6
That-
hex? I mean,
Dan-
what the
Dan-
fuck?
That was
Dan,
too
they-
far in the other direction.
Yeah.
yeah. They call that a campaign, is what they call that.
Yeah. So, but he has another book, or his two other books. One's called Into the Wild, which also kind of breaks that down with a very granular hex crawls.
We'll find
And
that on eBay.
one called Filling in the Blanks, which is actually just what I was looking for. And I just managed to find that this afternoon because I was like, God, nobody really has anything. There's a couple of like really ham-fisted generators online that just kind of generate you a random ass map. I even found like an OSR hexcrawl generator that, I don't know, somebody must have like put thousands of entries in here to come up with what they did, because like I randomly generated an Arctic forest hexcrawl, and it was literally populated with dungeons and points of interest and everything like that. And like there's like a dungeon of the Lich King, and it literally had the printout of a dungeon in there. I'm like, who the fuck did this? But this book, though, I think is kind of what I was looking for as far as populating hexes, and I'm gonna do a deeper dive on it. But the other ones that I want to say that I had mentioned or I had taken a look at is BX, which is again very similar to Old School Essentials. I think it was in the expert book that I actually found it. And the last one was Worlds Without Number.
Yep.
And Worlds Without Number is pretty intense as far as how deep they get, because the way he describes everything is like a room layout. And for example, like if I want a point of interest, I want a ruin, like where like all these other books are like, here's a roll d6 and this is the type of ruin it is. It's like it's a ruined elven tower, or it's an old dwarven mine. Types of ruin sites. Worlds Without Numbers. He's got the basic type, the residential site, the military site, the production site, the religious site, cultural, infrastructure, and then he has a subcategory of 12 different things you roll for each of these things. So you could have a fortified frontier monastery, a military site, a military training camp, a residential site, a mazy urban residential block. And then he basically breaks it down into how granular it is, of like the framework of inhabitation, the types of inhabitants, the rooms of interest you will find in such a place. And I'm like, holy mother of God. Like it is intense, but he also just has very simple a simple version of it, which I'm very thankful for too, which I might actually use. And it's just hex points of interest, and it's roll a d10 for a basic type of feature. So the d10 gives you a type of ruin, community site, court sites, or wilderness sites. And then he has a smaller table, just a d10 of various things that you can do. And if you want to expand on that, you can. So I think what I'm going to do, or at least I'm going to attempt to do, is going to combine Todd Lebeck's filling out the blanks and Worlds Without Numbers, and try to basically not be overwhelmed by having at least, like, since I'm luckily working with islands and I don't have to give them a ship until they get a ship. So I can limit them to like the 7 hex island that I'm on, and I just have to populate the 7 hex island the way I want it to be populated. Because it's, even though they're only doing 6 mile hexes, I don't want them to just be like, it's a mountain, you cross the mountain. There's stuff there. There should be stuff there. The reason for having a hex crawl is to make it feel like a living world, and it's not just you're crossing a map to get to the dungeon. But yeah, it's been a weird week of reading all these old entries and how hex crawls work and how different people do them. But man, I've never been so overwhelmed looking at some of these super granular hex crawls, and there's all kinds of different versions of it that people have included in different books, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to run something that deep. I even backed a hex crawling book for Shadowdark that came in the mail a couple of weeks ago, called When Dusk Falls by Fireside Tales. You guys seen this one?
I have not.
Nope.
And it is a full on hex crawl that somebody basically went through the procedure that I just talked about, and essentially made a decent size. It's an A4, A5 size map, and they did a page by page of 2-page spread for each hex that you might go to. So like you randomly flipping through, you've got the E6, the Grove of Repose. Customary wilds of the Grenin give way for order and tranquility here. Region, Green Gorge, terrain, undergrowth, difficult terrain. Dag byway allows for passage. And then it goes through and gives some different encounters that you might find there, different guardians and a druid's grove you might find there, a barrier and another point of interest that might be there. And it's actually pretty well done. Again, I might pull some pieces out of these that are already pre-written. The same thing with like populated hexes monthly, and just crib the pieces I want. But man, some people get fucking into this. I feel like this is people who like study maps for a living. These are crazy.
I mean, hexcrawling is its own thing.
Yeah.
It's role playing, but just like Birthright was very much its own style of role playing game, and then you've got your Critical Role style role playing game, and your hexcrawl. It's a completely different type.
It's a exploration based game. Yeah.
Yeah, like none of us.
And it's just why I kind of feel like it's appropriate for a game like Shadowdark, because Shadowdark at the end of the day is not just about looting the dungeon; it's about exploration too, because that's what you get your XP from.
Well, it's like Keep on the Borderlands. The whole thing was an exploration, because in the original one you didn't know where the Caves of Chaos were. You had to go and find them.
Man, it's right down the road. Like, it's so easy to find it. I mean, yeah, I guess you could just start going south and like immediately hop off the beaten path, but if you follow the only road that's there, eventually you'll find it by exploring.
I can't help but think
spoilers.
I can't help but think of the movie Darkness Rising, where the new player joins in and she's trying to role play with the NPCs to figure out where the bad guys are on this adventure that the other players have played a dozen times. And they're all like, we know where he's at. The bad guys are this way, because they've already done it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, the hex crawl that I had with Temple of Elemental Evil, even though they had a straight objective, they had to travel for like 3 days down the low road. They had to choose between high road and low road. They chose the low road, and the random encounters that happened along there were much more hex crawl fun exploration than I ever got out of the Adventure League tables with Keep on the Borderlands. Like with Keep on the Borderlands, they just felt aimless, but the second they had an objective, it felt like they would do anything but go to the objective. So, it was a much more entertaining hex crawl at the end of the day.
Oh, one other thing that I wanted to mention, and this is something I can thank Christian for. So Christian, for my birthday, got me Skirples is the Monster Overhaul, a practical bestiary by Skirples. Have you guys seen this before?
No, I've never
pretty
heard
great.
of this.
Jay, you would love this book. Absolutely love it. It is a number of different random charts filled with really, really descriptive stuff and very unique encounters. So, table of contents here. I'm just the different options you have: people, dungeons, primeval. The wizard did it. Spring, hostile forests. So I'm like, sure, they're in the Isles of Andric. Sure, let's do the hostile forest. So D12. You have an omen. The omen is crunching branches, faint chuffing. The encounter is a bear, ambles along, startled, then it becomes slightly aggressive. And then it has the next page, the encounter, and you have a D4 bears that are appearing. And remember how I quoted the other day from knock number 1, just use bears?
Yep.
Literally on this page, it says, in a big box, says, just use bears. The maxim was first formulated by Jack Goiganol, which I assume was the guy that wrote that knock article. If you need stats for the monster you just described and aren't really sure what to use, just default to bear stats. Reflavor the attacks and abilities as needed. You probably just can't tell the difference between some elaborately crafted bespoke horror and a bear.
It's true. It's absolutely true.
But then he gives you 3 different charts below that, depending on how you really want to change it. Like if you want this to be an encounter where the rangers are basically going to, give the bear some food and send it along its way, that's fine. You can do that. Or you can have bear variants. You can have a half-blind colored bear who's curious. You can have a long-limbed, almost sloth-like bear. You can find have a D10 different things that you would find in a bear's den. You can make the bears legendary and give them a D10 different things from the legendary bear ability table.
I hope there is a legendary bear ability table in there.
There
Okay.
is.
Yeah, good.
Bear is not the true name of this creature. Its real name has been forgotten. To speak it was to summon it. Summoning it is very dangerous.
I mean, we all seen the Bear in Annihilation, right?
Oh, that's terrifying.
But yeah, this book is fantastic, and I'm definitely going to pull some of my random encounters from here because they're completely generic for any fantasy and or sci-fi setting. Because Chapter 7 is definitely robot servants. So, but it's also got stormy seas and random encounters, robots, something you encounter on a space station. I mean, it's great. Even has divine random encounters, but it also gives you a really great chart for just to spice up an encounter that you could just very quickly look up into in the middle of the game. Like, oh, I'm gonna give a D20 to this. Oh, I'm gonna make these things actually they're gonna be stone constructs, or I'm gonna make these things regenerating, and it gives you some brief stats for OSR style games for that, or Dire or Elite. Dire, I love Dire. Greatest template from 3rd edition.
Yep.
Anyway, that's what I had this week. That's taken up most of my gaming research time. So
Well, if you cobble together some whatever version of hexcrawl rules, I'd be interested to see what you come up with.
Okay.
I'm not running one, probably in Planescape, but I will at some point.
Yeah. I'm gonna use my Monday group as guinea pigs, and we'll play test it, see how it works.
Cool.
Sounds good. All right, I think it's time for the Matt Mercer top 10 finally.
Is it?
Chris,
Oh,
yeah.
I want to know what his top 10 hexes are.
Oh yeah,
Ooh,
that'd be a good one. Chris, what do you got?
I don't know. I don't have that list.
Oh well, next time. Anyway,